This conference will now be recorded.
Hi, also welcome to day 4 of the JMeter session, right? And so we are discussing about HTTP protocol, right? And till yesterday we have talked about the request response on a browser, about F12 dev tool. So extending the same. uh, So see, every response has two parts. Okay, request body, request header, and response body and response headers, right? So we'll quickly see them. Today and tomorrow will be open session, okay? And then uh, we will wait for payments to be confirmed. And from next Monday, we will regularize the session. Okay. So today and tomorrow will be two more open sessions. Fine. So yeah. So anywhere, right? Anywhere. If we click one more time, I'll click somewhere on. Let us say this. Fine. So as you know, there will be a request correct on top, and the document type will be generally the initiator type will be document. So from that only we come to know, and then we finally check when we click that. So you will be getting the URL, and you will be getting the response. So by that way, we check which is the URL, right? When we did the click. Now, when we click on that URL, you will be seeing that you will observing, right? This will be the URL. Some details will be there. And then if you just scroll down, you'll be seeing this request headers will be there, and then on top response headers will be there. Okay. So each request, remember, whatever the request is going, which is of type HTTP HTML, right? It is divided into request body, okay, and request header. 11 p.m. 11 10. Right. So okay, right. So the request will be divided into request body and request header, right? Request header, and same way the response which comes, which is in code format, that is divided into response body and response header, right? Response header, correct? So what will be there in request body that we should understand? So in request body, what we consider the URL that goes, right, with the payloads. Now every request doesn't have payload. Understand what is the meaning of payload is body data. uh, that is also known as form data or user inputs or uploaded files, right? So see, what is the meaning of payload is like whenever we are sending some data from our side. So currently on this pages, right, we are just doing click. So it's a generating a request, right? And uh, there will be gate calls, another thing I'll discuss later, correct? So it will be generating a request, right? But let us say if you are on a page, remember you will be obviously on page. Even on Flipkart yesterday, I've shown like we were putting the phone number and right, and then we were sending. So whenever we are on a page and we are putting some inputs, right? Username, password, address, whatever. Or suppose you are in a file, photo file, and you are sending. So obviously request will be generated, but with request payload, they call it, it is called payload or user inputs. Mm. form data, right? Any name, payload, user inputs, or form data, anything. It is called anything, right? Generally, technically, we are calling them as a payloads. Right? A user inputs also, but nowadays they are calling it as a payload. So you got the point. What is payload? Every request will not have payload. Understand, right? Whenever we put inputs from our side, it can be anything on a page. You are putting information and sending it to the server, which can be just a username, password, or some credit card details, address detail, or whatever we put, right? Or some files, photo, right? So they are called payload. So the request, right? The request and that payload. If a request doesn't have payload, no need to worry. So that comes in request. That whole is considered as request body. Okay, the URL and the payload. The payload is there. And URL has parameters that I've shown, right? I think long back only, that this part is called path. In path only parameters are there. Okay, so no need to worry about that parameter in details. But yeah, so the URL with parameters, right? And if the request has payload, that all is considered as um, request body, right? Request. Then we have request header. Request header, there are some information generated by browser. We do not have to do anything, or generally you will not understand. Things are there, right? Things are there. These stuffs are there. If you see, they are not related directly to what we are doing on the browser. These are some other information generated by browsers, right? So what they does, we will see. I'll try to make you understand, right? But yeah, they are there, request headers, right? So you got the idea what will be there in request body and what will be there in request headers, right? This whole two things as request, right? Header are always important, remember. Few if you see here, this blue color, they are called attributes, right? They will be common for every request. This name value on the right hand side keeps on changing depending on application to apply. Some names are there like escape, accept, encoding language, catching control. You'll see connection cookies, referrer will be there, user agents, like this thing will be there. Value keeps on changing, so we do not have to worry about. Same way, the request which comes from the server, sorry, the response which comes from the server, which is in text format. As I said, response is in divided into response body and response header. This is response body, and then we have a response header over here, right over here. So as you know, what the response body will do, it comes and then the browser process that, right? So whole thing will be part of response body. And again, this will be there are again some information like how they are there in request header, same way they are there in response headers, right? Which server sends. Technically, it doesn't have to do anything with the response body. It has something which some other functionality. But yeah, two parts again, right? And this information is uh, uh, sent back to us by server only, right? Then attribute that you see on the left hand side, they are common, but the values on right hand side keeps on changing. Now this is what request body and request header, response body and response header. Okay, each uh, each request, remember, every request will have a request body and request header, and every response will have response body and response header. Now why they are there, that we have to understand. So see, that is very important to understand, right? You'll not get this anywhere. This body and response sorry, request headers and response headers, they make the user or the function or the request, right, unique to the server, so that the request server can recognize that request uniquely out of so many requests and sends the correct response. For that only these are there. Now you get the idea what I am saying. See how I am knowing, how the server will know that which user is who, right? Um, let us say that the same page, or you do one thing, you do one experiment. uh, if you can do, you open two browsers, not even the same browser also you can open, right? Any browser you open, right, let us say Chrome. In one you have open, in both open Flipkart or Amazon, right? Let us say Amazon only. In one right, one browser you open with incognito, and one will be normal mode, correct? Incognito, no, hope you people know, right, what is incognito. So Amazon you have open. Now while you do one thing parallelly in both at same time, so here you suppose search Nike shoe, and here you search Adidas or Reebok shoe, whatever, right, shoes. You'll never see the response getting what we say, like this response coming here and this response coming here. This never happens. Even even you are using same network, same Wi-Fi, same laptop, same browser, same website, but how so this is very unique scenario I'm saying. Then how server knows same website also, and same time almost, how server knows that from which browser you have searched for Nike and which browser you have searched for Adidas, and even everything is same: device information, network ID, device MAC address, right? Everything you are doing on the same laptop, right? Then even though the response never gets what we say exchanged, how this happens? At least, right? Try to ask this question to yourself: how server is knowing that? So in same way, understand that on a page, if 10 lakh people are there in this world, right? 1 million, 10 lakhs people are there, 20 lakhs people are there. How server recognizes them? To whom to see this request are for what, right? This request headers and response header are there to help the server to recognize to to serve whom to what, or like who is what. Okay, so that wrong response or this response traffic never gets exchanged, never this happens. So understood, this is why the request headers are there, or the response headers are there, the headers are there. Okay, you are not only browsing, the server is not, he is not knowing you, even we have not logged in, so that you'll think the server will recognize us by doing our username, our no, we have not logged in also, right? Only then how, even if you do from same Wi-Fi, same network, same everything, this never happens. Okay, never a response gets cross exchanged, because the server, the application, right, they recognize it. And how they recognize it? Because of this information that are there in request headers and response headers, which are very unique. And you'll observe some values and some cookie values, some stuffs will be there. Using this, they recognize it, right? So it makes every request unique to the server and helps the server recognize and serve you the response that you have asked for, out of so many same requests on the same page. Got the idea? Next, right. So that is done. So we have, as I said, the HTTP protocol has three parts. No, no, sorry, five parts, right? Five parts, five is schema or five component. So request, response, headers, and now we are going to discuss the method and status code. So every request has a method, okay? And generally 8 types of methods are there, or it is also called as types. So these methods are over here. Like on any request, if you see here on this tab, methods will be there. Method get. So if you click on that, also you'll get the idea. Like you see here, this get call. It is called as get call. Post call. Okay, you must have heard also put delete call options like that. So these are the types of request or methods of the request, right? Out of these, generally five requests are very famous out of eight, which you will observe. Not five. Yeah, five are important. The get calls, the post call, the put or patch call, the delete or the options. Okay, and in this also delete you will see in APIs testing or web services testing mostly, and on a website application generally delete you will very rarely observe. Put also you will very rarely observe. Okay, it will, they are there, it's not like, but very rare functionality they have, but they are there. Most of them, mostly all are get. You will observe post and options. You will see, right? So that the four important we will understand. So any request, right? Any request which is just a click, understand? Any request which is just a click is get call. Okay, just enter. You are not sending anything. You are not sending any inputs to that. That will be always a get call. Now, whenever you are sending some payload to the server, okay, those all requests will be post calls, right? Those all any like as I said, when with the request we send the payloads like let us say username, password, or whatever information, or we are sending a file or photos. Okay, so those all comes under uh, post call. They will be post call. You can observe them also. It's not like that we have to remember. We have to just understand. But everything will be here only, so no need to worry. The gate, it will be shown over here, right? So no need to worry. But yeah, we have to understand just so we are understanding. Okay. Then update and update will be there. So update, for update you will observe put and patch. Update is for updating existing information. Right. If you so rarely, as I said, very rarely they put and delete calls, you will see them. Whenever we are updating existing information in the application, that time update calls are made, which is put and patch, put or request, and then we have a delete. Okay, delete is for deleting some details from the application. So delete calls will be there. Many times it's not like that every time suppose you are going to delete anything from application, you will see delete. No, it comes under post only, right? So it depends how they have designed, but yeah, and rarely you will see delete. In API is testing, delete mostly are there. Put and patch also in API web services testing, they are there. On a web application you will rarely see them. Okay, mostly you'll see gate calls, post calls, and options calls. Okay, options calls are pre-flight requests executed before the post calls, right? To check whether the server like is going to server supports the upcoming post call or not, right? Options requests are also made before get request also. It's not like that only for post. Before post and get. See why I've written here CRUD. Generally, these calls have same functionality how CRUD operation happens in database. So if you have learned, if you have little bit of DB's idea, there create, read, update, and DB query, delete queries are there, right? Create is for create will be there. Then select is what read. Select query is for reading thing, right? Then insert will be there. So inserts is create. Insert insert is create and update both. We have create also, create in DBs, right? Create and insert, and then we have update query in DBs, right? Update. So how they work? These functionalities have the same same. They also look like same. Then we have
Hello, Vallabh. Sorry to interrupt that one. Can you please give the options example, like how we can identify that one? Like,
you can
that options method.
see why how I what you want? Tell me.
Like options like means real, like real example. Can I can you means
Real I
tell
don't
on
have
that?
man. you can check them here only on your application. You will see them if it will be there na, for your application.
Okay.
All will be displayed here only for the whatever
Mhm.
request you will be making. You will get the idea here itself. So if
Okay.
options will be there, it will shown to you. Put will be there, it will be shown to you.
Mhm.
Right, patch will be there. So mostly get post will be there and options will be there. Put and delete will very rarely, and even others are there na, like head, connect, trace, very rarely you will see them. Okay.
Okay. So what options does means what method it performs
More
task?
if you want to read na, so you can Google it.
Okay.
They it runs before get and post request. Depend on if see, as I said, everywhere it is not there. So I'm not so
Mhm.
here if you want to be a developer, then think of that, right? Because suppose this
Okay.
Amazon doesn't have, Flipkart doesn't, then why we want to worry about that, right? So if,
Mhm.
here we are understanding they are there, and we have to just know. If you want to go in details why it's not there in Amazon, why it will be there in some other application, then it's developer how it has designed, or how the application has designed in that application, why option call is there, why on Amazon option call is not there. That is different thing,
Okay.
right? That
Okay.
what I'm going to say. Hope you are getting the point.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sure, sure.
So
Okay.
more if you want to know, then you have to think
Mhm.
about developer and Google more on that, right? You will be
Yeah, yeah.
getting the
Sure.
idea.
Okay. Okay. Got it.
Some application will have options call, as I said, some will not have. So why we have to bother? What we have to bother is as a performance tester, we have to know, that's it. So right, got the idea. So they will be there. Next we have codes, HTTP response codes, or status codes. So there are five series of status codes are there. 1x series, which is 100 series, 200 series, 300 series, and 400 series, and 500 series. Each has sub series. Okay, in 100 series 3 are there. In 200 series almost 9 are there. In 300 series 9 are there. In 400 series we can count them. In 400 series there are many, and then 500 series. Okay, this 100, 200, and 300 series status code. Acha, what is that, right? So see here. Uh, Here you see, before method only, all status code will be shown to you, right? Mostly you will have all the 200 series, right? Even if you click, you'll see the status code. Now understand one thing, that 100 series, 200 series, and 300 series status code, we have nothing to worry about. They all represent the success transaction happening with the with the application. Means you have sent a request, response has came, fine, and we will observe either 100, 200, 300. Mostly out of that also 100 you will very rarely, even till now I have not also seen, and 200 mostly will be there, and 300, few of the 300. What will be there of some 300, 200 will be there. Okay, 201 and yeah, 200 or 201, mostly you'll observe. And out of in 300 you'll see 302, 300 301, 302, and maybe 307, 308, very rarely. Okay, others you very rarely, very rarely you will see. So no need to worry about them, just we have to understand, okay, that these many codes are there, they have some meanings. No need to memorize. Also you cannot memorize few which will be there na, that when we practice automatically it comes to our mind. Okay, 200 is okay, 300 is for redirecting, like that it comes to the mind, right? So no need to memorize. But all of, and 100 very rarely, very rarely you'll observe 100 series, right? So this tells the um, all as I said, these are all for successful transaction happening with the application, right? 300 is for redirecting. For few example I'll be showing you in going future, 300 also. Mostly all will be 200. Okay. Now here comes the 400 series and 500 series. 500 series happens whenever there is a problem with the server, right? So you must have seen like this kind of error if you have encountered sometime with any application like internal server error, gateway, bad gateway error, service unavailable, gateway timeout. You must have seen somewhere in your life on any application. So that is the meaning of that, and there will be code with that like 500, 502, 504, right? So it only happens when server has some problem with that request, right? And then it sends that code, correct, with that message. Sometimes message comes or it comes or it may not come, the meaning, but the code will come, right? So it tells the problem from the server side. This is the main thing, client error. Actual main is this only. Performance testing, we are going to find out these only. These are only called bottlenecks, right? Response time, the problem. But when we are doing the scripting, this is going to be main because this is client error. Here client means, so understand, client means user error. Okay, user error. So if the request that we are going to send, if that is not correct, then server will respond the 400 series error. So any error if you get with 400, that means understand that is the problem from your end. Means the request that you have sent, you have the problem. That request has a problem. Okay, so 400 series we have to avoid. That is where we have to do a good scripting so that whatever the request we send or the browser send, it should be correct. It must have to be correct. Okay, so so these are there like 401 unauthorized, 403 forbidden, 404 not found, mostly 405 method not allowed, 408 request timeout, and yeah, generally you'll see them 401, 400, 401, 403, 404, 405, 408 mostly. Like let us say, I'll tell you one. Let us say you are sending one request and that request doesn't have required access to the server, so you'll get 400 unauthorized. You are not authorized. You are sending one request which server has blocked or you cannot access. You'll get error like forbidden. You are sending a request which is not there at server and it will say okay, not found, right? You are sending a request which whose method is wrong. Like let us say it's suppose the method should be post call, you are giving it put call. Okay, then it will send okay, tell you okay, method is wrong. The get post just we read na get put posts. If it is not correct, it will say method not allowed. Any request taking very long time, very long time to process, then 408, right? Like that some errors will come, and these errors tells that there is error problem from our side, right? Next we have transactions. So as I said, each user action that the user does is called a, technically it is called as a transaction, right? So now understand one thing. uh, every user, I think I told this or not, maybe I've told also, every user action can't be called as a transaction in performance testing, remember. A user action can only be called a valid transaction in performance testing when it is generating some request to the server and some response is received. Understand this point very carefully. See what I told in very beginning, that whenever we do anything on a website, a click or hovering the mouse or checking the some tick marks we will be there, or selecting yes or no options, radio buttons, right? Like that, whenever we do, everything is a user action. User is doing action on the page, right? Now that user action is called a transaction in performance testing, right? Technical world. But understand one thing, every user action is not a transaction. huh? Only those user action which generates a valid request to the server and the what we say, the expected response is received, right? That time that time only that user action will be called as a transaction. So like I clicked on that image and then this came a valid transaction. How I got to know? I see the response, or even I see this happening over here. But one example that I told yesterday in the last session on Flipkart only, if you guys remember, there was a login page and I hit the login button with a wrong OTP, right? And then nothing happened over here. So you cannot call it as a transaction, right? Let us say, again, I'll show you. Suppose I'm going to click on login. So a valid request will be made. See, there is a valid request. This is the request. Okay. This is a request, correct? We have a response also. Fine. But if I enter a wrong mobile number here and just hit the enter button, then I have shown that time also. Here also, let us I hit. Here nothing happened. Oh wait, it's just a second. Here see pre-flight is there made. How many? 1, 2, 2, 4, 2, 8, 6. What we'll do here? One example is there. See, this is options request. But this is nothing related to the Flipkart. It's being it's a separate request. But yeah, you can observe your option request, right? Option request mostly the type it is be called as a pre-flight. Remember pre-flight. Hmm? I think this doesn't have to do with our Flipkart. This is a separate call being made, so no need to worry about. So right, so ignore this. They are being made even we do nothing on the website. Fine. So I'll just hit the request OTP, and you see this message come, but here nothing happens. And this message, so you cannot call okay requesting OTP is a valid transaction here. It is only valid when I'll give a proper input and then do the request, then a proper call will be made. Then that time we will call. See, now I have corrected the number, and then I'll click. That time you see the requests are made for. Wait, this is option call, and then we have post call. Okay, here payload also went. This is payload, the user input. You see, and one more call, business call will be there. This is again option. Fine, and this is the request. It has failed. It is showing as a fail because 400 series, because this fellow is not registered, so it has failed. But yeah, call are being proper call has been made, right? So what I'm trying to, so here option request you can see before every call you see for this is a get call, right? Wait, this is no post call only. Fine. So before post call you see here options call is being made, and then this is also a post call, and before that you see option call is being made. So on Flipkart we have only for login request. I think it's there, or maybe you can check it there. It's there, right? And they are called pre-flight. Okay. What our point here is to understand that what I'm trying to make you every user action we cannot call. So now, so that example, right? Now one more example, like let us say if I'm hovering my mouse and if you observe, see this these are being loaded, right? You see these menu items. So we cannot call them as a user action because I'm hovering and the menus are coming. But on right hand side, do you see anything happening? We do not see anything happening, right? So that we have to understand. So like that only many examples will be there. Like sometime you will observe two options will come. Let us say click on yes or no, or then like you have to do check mark on few check boxes will be there. And that time also you have to check. Suppose you have to click yes or not, and do you want to consider that as a transaction? How you will come to know? Only when you open your network tab and you see a corresponding request being made, that time only we call it as a valid transaction. Otherwise, no. It can be user side activity, right? What is the meaning of user side activity? The same thing. This example that I'm showing, like let us say this mobile number is incorrect, and I'm clicking on continue, and then here it message comes. You'll see that message comes, and here nothing is happening. Correct. This is called user side activity. It is happening on user side only. So we cannot consider that part as a test case for performance testing. Understand, right? I'm coming to one of the question that was asked, right? Every test case we cannot take from manual or automation. This test case can be a part of automation. This testing of this stuff can be a part of manual testing, or it can be part of automation testing, but this is not a test case for performance testing. Okay, because it has nothing to do with the load going to the server. Understand? So this thing has happened on user side only, and this message has came. So likewise, suppose you are clicking on yes or no, and then you cannot consider that as a test case, or or a scenario, or a valid transition for performance, because it may not generate any call. It is happening on the user end only, user page only. So until unless it is not generating anything to it's not generating a proper request, a valid request, and a respective response is not the expected response is not received, we do not consider every user action as a transaction. And that is where you have to understand that every manual test case, every automation test case is not a performance test case. Okay. Fine. Next, so that's what I have written here, that pop-up message, uh, clicking on checkboxes, the JavaScript thing just now, that Flipkart, right? JavaScript call was there. The toaster message which was coming, input is not correct. That is because of JavaScript calls, files, right? Selecting from drop down menus. Drop down menu, hope you got the idea. Like you will be on page, and then there will be drop down option, and you have to choose from that, right? And that also you cannot consider. Why you cannot consider? You can only consider, remember, if selecting a drop down item is sending a request to the server. If it is not sending any request to the server, that is not considered, right? Remember. Fine. So this is clear. Then next is on a single page, okay, there can be multiple transactions. Remember that. Now what is the meaning of this is, here whatever example I'm showing, you mostly see that whenever we are doing a click, the whole page is changing, right? So 90 to 90% of cases this happens, that whenever we do a click, see, whenever we do a user action, generally I have to say, but now you got the idea that at the end of day, every user action is a click only. Okay. So whatever user action we do, or whatever click we do, the whole page changes. But sometime on a single page only, sometime it can happen that on a single page only there can be 2 to 3 transactions, or 2 to 3 user action. Whenever I'm talking about user action here, means related to performance testing. Like you have to do 2 to 3 transaction or user action, and on a single page only, whole page will not change. So this can happen. Right, you are getting a point. Like there will be some option here, you will be doing that activity, and then you will see the calls being made. Then but whole page will not be changing. Then there will be another activity, you will be doing that, and then again you will be seeing the calls being made, right? Like that. So it can happen for some application, for some functionality of the application on a single page also. There can be multiple transactions, right? Multiple user. Getting the idea? Any doubt, let me know if this on these 3 concepts I am going to tell. One about this, one about this multiple thing. This should be clear. Next one is this one. This will be very simple to understand, but I think if you have doubt in this and this, let me know. This is simple to understand. The third point related to transaction is, a transaction or user action generally have only one HTTP or HTML request. Okay, in most of the cases. But in many cases, it has a set of multiple HTTP request. Okay. Means whenever we do a user action, or whenever we do a transaction, most of the time you will observe that only one request is being made. Only one, the main request is being. These all we do not have to worry for now. because they happen later on. They are post response activity happening, right? So we do not bother. But the main call, the main HTTP HTML HTTP request being made, generally you'll observe that only one request is made and the response has been received. Generally, user action was only one. I clicked on that image, so that user action will be called as one transaction or one user action, and it will be having one request and response will be received in most of the case. But sometime the same not same, some other user action or some other transaction can have set of multiple HTTP HTML requests. Multiple, okay, multiple means 2 or 3. So one example, just suppose I'm opening google.com. So we see, let us say, one request here, the google.com, and we have a response here, right? Code obviously. And if I click on sign in Gmail, hmm, so here this is one example. This will little complex to understand, but yeah, you can see here. See, one is this one, and then another one here, here. 4 calls were made. Just clicking on sign in button. So when I clicked on sign in button, that is called as one user action or technically one transaction, and here 4 calls were made. Right, out of these 2 were redirect. Fine. 302. Here you can see I told now we have 300 series, and then in 200 also 200 and 204 series are there. Fine. Do not go that much in details for now. It may not be understandable now. When we practice slowly, it all comes. Okay, we'll understand everything. When we keep on doing the stuff for many application, we get this idea. But yeah, so 4 calls are made here. Okay. In that also we cannot say 4 because 3 not, no, we have to consider 3 not 2. We do not consider option requests, but these are not option, they are all yeah. So 4 calls are there, 302, 304, then here also 302, 302, 200 and 204. So 4 requests, right? So so hope you got what I'm saying, that one transaction sometime can have 4 calls, means multiple calls. Okay, like that. One more I'll show you. This is one application, let us say. So you see one call being made. I launched one application and this is the main call, right? We received the response. So you can say this is launch of the website, and one transaction we did and only one call, right? See, these requests are also called as calls. Okay, so do not the HTTP HTMLs requests are also called as calls or APIs. Okay, so when I'm calling them because nowadays every people are calling them as calls only, or APIs also, endpoints or endpoints. They are also called as endpoints. Just let me write here. So all have same meaning. Actually, it's a request only. Okay. So we did one user action and the request or the call, right? Only one call is there. Fine. Others are all JavaScript or image. So no need to worry. We have here. Now I'm going to do sign in here, login. Already the username password are there. I'll click on login. When I click on login, you'll see 3 call will be there. See on top. These all 3 calls. Okay. One is post, and then another is to redirecting, and then 200. Okay. This is a post call. Why it is post call? Because the if you click on that and it's being post call because with this the payload went right. What the user information? If I click on request, you'll see the email ID, the password, and then this is called authorization token. We'll talk about this going forward in upcoming session. Like some value you see, these are there, but let it be the email and password it went right. So what I told that all the call which carries the payload, this payload, right? This is payload. We put the username and password from our side. So this request is one example which has payload, right? So like that, whenever you send anything, generally it will be a post call, and these are called payload that we say. So this request has payload, and that's why it is a post call. Type was 302 redirecting. Okay, and redirecting request do not have response, so it will not be having any response. Here it is showing a response, but it doesn't has response. I'll tell you when going forward. I'll tell you more. Actually, this response will come for this. The same response is coming for this. Okay. Yeah. See, same, na? The above request, and if I'm clicking on this request, it's same. Okay, it's not changing. So actually, the all 302 request doesn't have a response. So first request, it went, and then one more request got generated, which is the second request, and then this is one request. Response comes in only two request which has 200. Remember, any 300 series request doesn't have response. Okay, so I'll tell you more what is this redirecting and other thing. We'll understand slowly. Do not go there now. Just understand what I'm telling now is that one transaction can have one call only, and other transaction can have multiple call only. It depends on scenario to scenario, transaction to transaction. Right? You got the idea? So here one transaction is having 3 calls, and not only 3 calls. Here few more calls are there. I'll tell you later on, but yeah, they are there downside. If I click on XHR, you'll see this total HTML calls and XHR call. So this transaction was having this many calls. Okay, it can happen. 3 above and all that you see. How many are there? Around 8 or 9 are there. So I think this whole transaction was having 10 to 11 calls, 10 calls. Okay. What we will understand about this application later on. But yeah, what the current point is that one transaction can have one request or multiple request, right? So that is done. So any doubt here? 3 points related to user action or transaction, because this is important. We are going to work on transaction basis only on website. See this what happens on network tab that many people doesn't know. They do not worry also. But now as a performance tester, we have to worry. We have to look into this. But till now, no one looks that, or no one have idea also, right? Mostly we do the stuff here. When we do this is called UI, right? User interface. So when we do the stuff here, we have everything that we do is a user action. But now we are coming to performance testing, right? So every user action we do not consider. Whatever user action generates a request and response, that is called a transaction, that only we consider. Now that's why this transaction thing is important, because this is what we are going to do on a user application, right? Interface, correct? Every user is going to do. So that is all 3 points related to a user action or a transaction, right? What are 3 points? That every transaction cannot be called as a valid transaction until unless it is generating a response to the request to generating a request to the server and expected respective response is received. Then right, so this is that point. Then on a single page there can be one transaction or there can be multiple transaction, and one transaction can have one request. Sometime some other transaction can have multiple requests also on same application. It happens, right? And these requests are also called as what calls, APIs or endpoints. So no doubt, okay, if no doubt, we'll move ahead. We have two more things, uh, cache and cookies. Okay, cache or cache. Okay, and we have cookies. See, cache is a concept. It's there on server side also, this concept of cache, and it's there on browser side also. Here we'll talk about the cache that's there on browser side. In every browser, this thing is there, cache and cookies. Cache is a storage area on a browser where whenever you visit a website, some content of the website is stored, right? So that whenever next time you are visiting the website, the things gets loaded faster. Okay, so I'll show you. Let us say this is my Google Chrome. Every browser have their own cache and cookies area. Okay, I'll do what you know, right? How to clear the history. Control Shift Delete, or you press Control H, and this history page comes, and then you click on delete browsing history. This all hope you will be knowing, right? So if you go on advanced tab, there you will see two things: cookies and cache stuff. Okay, cache stuff. Now what I'm going to do is for now we are just I'm going to discuss about cache stuff. I'm clearing everything for now, but let it be. So currently my cache is showing as 200 MB, right? I'm going to clear all the thing. If you want to just clear cache, not an issue, you can uncheck that and only clear cache. Here just understand, no need to practice, just understand. Or if you want to practice, you can do. So I'm going to clear, all thing is cleared. Again, I just, if I press that Control Shift Delete, now you see cache less than 1 MB, right? Now what I'll do, I'll just close the browser and I'll open it again. And now I'll start visiting some websites. Okay, some more some very like some resource sensitive website. Resource means where data are more. So our Flipkart, right? Flipkart.com, Amazon.in, Mintra.com. So I just visited 3 websites and I have just opened 3 pages, the home page of these 3 websites. Now if I just press Control Shift Delete and I go there, you see the cache size has increased. It has been 7.4 MB. Okay, now let me do one thing. One thing, just a second. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to browse some pages here randomly. I'm just clicking some here and there. Okay, so what was the cache size? 7.4, right? Something. Now I'm randomly visiting many pages on Flipkart only. So just some many pages I visited. Now I'll just press. Now we come here and okay, delete browsing data. You see it has increased. How much it is now? 19.2. How much earlier? How much it was? 7, some 9, right? Now it's 19. 10 MB it has increased, right? Like that. So what happened? Like this, if you keep on browsing many websites for many days, you will observe your cache size is very. If you have not cleared from many days on your personal laptop, you can go check, it will be like 300 MB, 600 MB. Many people will be having. So what happens is, whenever we are visiting the page, right, on any website first time, what happens? Some content from that website is stored in the local area of our browser. Okay, and that's why that size gets increasing. Why it is there? So that next time whenever you will visit, the contents get loaded uh, from that storage area only, so that the response time becomes more faster. How it happens? I'll just show you it. First, let us delete. Let me delete again. Now I'll do what? Deleted, right? Everything. No need to go and check the size now. I'll just show how that thing works. See, this is network area, and here one option is there, disable cache. I've disabled that, and I'll visit flipkart.com again, right? Because I've deleted everything, so the earlier contents are not there. See, Flipkart. Now, when the same Flipkart I visited here, and obviously response will come and rendering will happen, and the embedded resources will be loaded. Now, when this loading has happened, you see of this embedded, the timing and the size for them here. You see, right? Size is there in bytes, right? Size is there, and response time is also there. Okay, you can check. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to clear this log. Here, log means this information, and I'm just going to refresh the same page. Refresh means loading the same page. Okay, or yeah, loading also. Or let me close this tab only, and then again same inspect network, and then again I'll open Flipkart only. Flip. Let's see. So when I'm opening this Flipkart, you will observe for the same loading. You see one thing. Now their size it's not showing for most of for many of the resources. You see. What it's showing that from disk cache, and their response time for many has become now 0 also. For many it has reduced to millisecond. Those which are called from server, their size it's showing. The time is also more if you see, but those which has been called from memory cache or disk cache, you observe, see them what's happening. Their response time is very less, and it being shown. So what has happened here is that earlier when I visited Flipkart, so some contents were saved in my browser cache area of the browser. Okay, now again when I'm visiting Flipkart, so what is happening, those few content is getting instead of this getting called from server side, they get load from that memory area only. And why it happened? To reduce the response time, the rendering, because when the request comes, after that whole request is rendered, then we see this, right? So this rendering becomes faster, and we observe that page getting loaded more faster compared to the last, right? So this is why this cache concept is there. Now we do not have to do anything here. This is just a general concept, just understand, because it has directly nothing to do with performance testing, but indirectly it's a part of performance testing. Why? Because it's reducing the response time only, right? So whenever we talk performance testing, what is the main thing? Response time and user load. So this is why this stuff is there in a browser. Okay, that next time whenever you visit the page, response time will be little bit faster, because there will be some stuff, contents will be there in your browser only. So server when the rendering happens, right? So when each of these image are processed, so they, instead of the browser calling them from the server all the content, for them some of the content which gets saved locally, they gets called from called or loaded. Called means here they gets loaded from the browser memory only, right? So obviously fast processing will be more faster, right, for them, and hence overall response time will be reduced for that page. So this is there, and this concept is there on server side also, but no need to go there now. Caching concept. So that is called caching. And yeah, next we have cookies. Cookies is a piece of data or a small piece of data that helps a user uh, see one thing. Let this definition be. We will not be able to understand this definition. When I'll show you, get the idea. Indirectly, what cookies does? Cookies are a set of values. Okay, a set of data, piece of data, which are the part of. Remember, cookies are part of. I've written somewhere or not. Yeah, just and they are a set of values, not data. I'll say they are set of that set of values or data. Values or data, okay, sent by the web application to the browser, and then vice versa. It happens whenever the user visits the page. Okay, the application. These are also stored in browser only. Right. The browser using which you are browsing the website, and these cookies are part of headers. So cache is totally different thing. It's an area. It's a storage area. Forget that. Huh? And as I said, it's not that much important directly. It is important indirectly. Directly, it has nothing to do with us with the scripting. But yeah, it's there being made or being built in browser to reduce the response time only. So from performance point of view, we have to understand cookies are set of value and they are part of headers. So just now I have shown that headers are there, and in header some complex value will be there, like in that cookies will be there. This cookie helps, I just told you how the servers know the which request is which one, right? So which request is which one? Like the same thing, no? The example that you are opening Nike shoe stuff, and then the Adidas, the same example I told you. And the same example, if we say that 10 lakh people are accessing the website, so how the server knows that, right? Because of these cookies. And since the cookies are the part, not only cookies, some more informations are also there in the header, but cookies play one important role. Okay, very important to make the user, make the server recognize, to make the server recognize which user is what, which user is who, and what to serve, what to serve to whom. Okay, or you can say to whom to serve, what to whom, to serve what to whom. But this is a very small line, to serve what to whom. If you understand this line, you'll understand everything. Means in this so many let us say the example of Amazon or Flipkart, 10 lakh people are there at a time, or more than that. Amazon is a very big website. It can be more than 10 lakh, 1 crore or 10 crores will be there at a time, because it's a worldwide website. But again, we cannot say that every region has their own part of Amazon. Okay, reduce this number, because for US it's .com, for India it's .in. So every website application is different. Every area. So we cannot say 10 crore, but let us say 5 lakh at least. For India, Amazon.in we have. For US, Amazon.com is there. So at least at a time 5 lakh will be there, right? It's a very small number, 5 lakh or 10 lakh for Amazon or for Flipkart. Now 10 lakh people are accessing Flipkart. Now how the Flipkart knows that which user has, let us say they have sent a request. Some people will be on home page, some people will be on some other page, right? Out of these 10 lakh people, he has to remember that also, and he has to also remember that which user has asked me what, right? Some user is asking laptop information, some user is asking Dell laptop information, some user is asking some other. At same time they are doing different thing, and the server has to remember that, and the server has to understand that and send that particular response to them only, right? So this is what the line is, to serve what to whom, right? How this is happening for that so many big number, even you are using same laptop, same Wi-Fi, same network, same device, it can happen. Okay, never wrong information is cross exchanged because of these cookies. So tomorrow I'll tell you more example. Today time is off. We'll see the example of cookie. It become delayed today. Generally the session will go on yeah, 10 fine. I have also some other session. Okay, so we'll see then. We'll talk user side, client side, and then architecture. I'll tell more on tomorrow. So tomorrow will be last open session. Okay. Fine. We'll meet tomorrow.